Meanwhile, a surprise shakeup in China's military. Two new leaders of the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force have been named. The force oversees the nation's nuclear and ballistic missile arsenal. Beijing gave no explanation for the change, nor has it released any information on the previous two leaders' status. Meantime, experts say the move is unusual. And joining us now to help us unpack this and more is Gordon Chang, author of The Coming Collapse of China and the Great U.S.-China Tech War. Gordon, always so great to see you. So what do you make of this move by the PLA, and what do you think it signals to the U.S. and Taiwan?
This move is ominous, Tracy. It's really unusual that both the commander and the political commissar are replaced at the same time. Also, the replacements come from outside the rocket force. The commander comes from the Navy, the commissar from the Air Force. This looks like Xi Jinping is continuing with his purge of officers in the military who are opposed to war. And if that's indeed the case, what we have got here is Xi Jinping wanted to make sure that when he gives the order to launch ballistic missiles at the United States, that those orders will be followed.
Gordon, it seems very concerning. What do you think our response to this should be, if anything?
Well, we should be increasing our readiness. And we unfortunately have a senior leadership in the Pentagon and, of course, the national security establishment centered around the Oval Office that have just appeared oblivious. They do not believe the crisis in China, and there is a crisis and there are many symptoms of it, is going to affect the United States. So we are just unprepared for what can happen.
Yeah, and here in Washington, the House of Representatives Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, they are seeking information from BlackRock and MSCI regarding client investments in Chinese companies. In particular, those companies the U.S. has actually blacklisted because of their links to China's military or because of human rights abuses. It's a story the Wall Street Journal, they first reported. Gordon, what more do you know about this?
Well, the important thing here is that because of BlackRock, just billions of dollars went into China. And the problem here, Tracy, is that we Americans think that there is a military-civil distinction. But in China, all companies are tied to the Communist Party and have to follow Communist Party orders. So we should not be investing into anything. But BlackRock has clearly been at the forefront of making sure that national security concerns are not taken into account. And so, therefore, we've got to be looking at this much more closely.
And Gordon, another thing I want to touch on, China's spy agency, they recently took to the social media platform WeChat, which has more than 1 billion users, in order to encourage people to join its counter-espionage work and to report suspicious activity. Gordon, what's going on here, and where do you see this going?
This is going into sort of a cultural revolution type situation. The Ministry of State Security does not issue requests. It issues orders. And we know this because the 2017 National Intelligence Law requires Chinese nationals to spy if demanded. And of course, nobody in the Communist Party's top-down system can resist an order from the party. So really what we have is some more xenophobia because these are directed at foreigners. And this is China closing itself off. And we know from Chinese history that whenever this happens, Tracy, that disaster always follows for China and the Chinese people.
Gordon, we have about a minute left or so, but curious what else you're following. What's on your radar right now?
The Chinese economy, because clearly the Communist Party is not able to rescue that economy. Its legitimacy is tied to delivery of prosperity. And if it can't deliver prosperity, the only thing it can do is rally the Chinese people with, for instance, a war. And that ties into the changes at the rocket force.
And we're going to leave it right there. Gordon, great to be with you as always. Thank you so much for your insights.